The really interesting question comes along that says, well, hang on a second, this legislation has been defective since 1996. And here we are in 2021. So why is it that all of a sudden, 25 years later, the DA suddenly decides to wake up and say, hey, let's fix this piece of legislation?
Please go check out rebelstoreza.com. Their winter range is now available. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Real Moments. Real Moments are clips from videos or interviews that I think you might find interesting. I know some of you may not have the time to watch the full hour-long video or interview, so I thought these Real Moments can also double up as a bit of a teaser, if you will. And who knows, maybe if you enjoy this clip, you might want to watch the full video. Links to the full video or interview are always in the description below. Also, if you want to donate to the show, there's a link in the description for you to do just that. You can now contribute to the show for as little as 40 Rand a month via debit order. Also, there are now some exclusive perks if you're a member. T's and C's apply. This is only available through Quicket. Or you can visit my website for various options on how to contribute to the show. Donations are not a must, but they're greatly appreciated and go a long way to supporting the channel. And of course, subscribing is always free. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, here is your real moment. But for those who maybe haven't read this yet, what does it mean? In layman's terms, what does this article actually mean?
Okay, so let's do both. So let's take first of all, what does it actually mean in its literal sense? It literally means that the national constitution in clause 1272F, the powers of premiers, authorizes the premiers of a province to call a referendum in line with national legislation. And how it works with the constitutional legislation is the constitution provides the right, and then the legislation determines how that right is exercised. So in this particular clause 127, it says the premier has a right to call a referendum in line with national legislation, and the legislation is the Referendums Act. But the national constitution was finalized in 1996. The Referendums Act was last amended in 1992. So when premiers were given this right in 1996, the legislation that was last adapted in 1992 has never been adjusted. So that the national legislation only gives power to the president. So you've got a conflict between the constitution, which authorizes the premier, and the law, which doesn't. But of course, the constitution rules supreme. So that's the beauty here is now. So the law is unconstitutional. And actually, in the Western Cape is the only province that has its own constitution. All of the provinces can have constitutions, but the only one that has is the Western Cape. KZN wrote a constitution, but it wasn't ratified. There were faults with it at the Constitutional Court, and it was sent back, and they've never finalized it. And in the Western Cape Constitution, in clause 37.2.f, the exact same powers are existed. So therefore, we have these powers. So in its most literal sense, they're just correcting the legislation. So that is a fairly simple matter. Effectively, it shouldn't be controversial if you're just looking at it at face value. The really interesting question comes along that says, well, hang on a second, this legislation has been defective since 1996. And here we are in 2021. So why is it that all of a sudden, 25 years later, the DA suddenly decides to wake up and say, hey, let's fix this piece of legislation that has been defective for 25 years and nobody's worried about? And that's where, obviously, so now we get beyond the literal and to a certain degree into the speculative, and to a certain degree not into the speculative, because obviously there are conversations that have been had. That's where the interesting part comes is, well, okay, why on earth does the DA suddenly want to change this legislation?
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was your real moment. This is your second reminder to please subscribe to my channel. Please like and comment below. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this content, please share it with friends and family. Also, check out the Joe Emilio Show Telegram channel. It's a channel, not a group, so you won't be bombarded by weird memes and information. It's really just a notification channel for you to be notified of all my upcoming uploads and live streams. Link is in the description. You can also watch more of my content here or here, somewhere in this general area. Just check it out. You might like it. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you at the next one. Cheers.